lovely time. What else have we got?
And finally, I think, of these, before I get on to Christopher Biggins' story, but these parents in New Zealand who... there's a child who asked to be ward of court because she was so embarrassed by her name that her parents had given her that she wanted to become ward of court so she could change her name. And her name was Tallulah Hawaii, which sounds fine, except her parents had given her the middle name, Does the Hula From. So her full name was Tallulah Does the Hula From Hawaii. Now, it's kind of incredibly embarrassing. But
why did she just call herself Tallulah?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because presumably it's, you know, kids now know that her middle name is Does the Hula From. And she gets it. But what's interesting about it is the names that they have blocked and the names which they have permitted in
What have they
New Zealand.
blocked in the past, then?
Well, the names they've blocked are... Somebody wants to call their twins Fish and Chips. Right? Well, that's which doesn't sound that awful. I mean, really.
Really?
No, I think that's all right. But they didn't allow Fish and Chips. But they did allow Benson and Hedges for twins.
No.
So they're less worried about smoking than obesity, obviously, there. They wouldn't allow Fat Boy. Which I think... And they wouldn't allow...
And they wouldn't allow...
Some parent wanted to call their child Hitler, which is just, frankly, stupid. But the name that was permitted, and this is just bizarre, they allowed parents to call their child Number 16 Bus Shelter. Now, why would you call your child Number 16
I guess that's
Bus
where he
Shelter?
was conceived.
Oh, maybe it could have been where he was conceived, yeah. Or Round the Back of Number 16. Yeah.
There's someone else,
It's
one I
weird,
read,
isn't it?
someone's called their child Violence, which I thought was quite an interesting name.
Violence is good.
This is my child Violence.
It's just... well...
Violence right.
Yeah. But
No, I might, you know, with names like that, I might even start breeding. I quite like it. Number 16, the bus shelter, and Violence right. Pleased to make your acquaintance, sir. OK, what have you got from Biggins' passion? We're going to do those later.
Do them later.
OK, then Larry, in the meantime, what have you got?
Well, while you're thinking of something funny, it could take hours, couldn't it, frankly?
Yeah.
Today's Telegraph has Stop Smokers Having IVF, say doctors, to sort of mark the Louise Brown anniversary. They've done a survey of fertility experts, half of whom think that those who smoke should be barred from IVF, which is very controversial.
Well, it's because it's all down to the postcode lottery, lack of cash, and therefore you've got to give people the best chance. Why waste on smokers whose chances will be impaired by their habit?
This, of course, comes at the same time when there's certainly talk about denying those who are overweight from having IVF. I've got one friend in particular who's had... I don't know how many attempts at IVF, over and over. It's incredibly stressful. It causes
That they're
depression.
paying for, though?
Oh, yeah, they're paying.
It's different on the NHS, though, isn't
But the fact is that it's a very stressful process, having IVF. It can cause depression, all of which are... Then you want an outlet for that, and you might well be overweight, you might well be smoking, you might well be doing all sorts of things. You should just to cope with the stress of being
I'll be honest, Larry, when I was doing the IVF thing, they made the smoking thing really, really clear that it wasn't a good idea, that if you wanted to have a realistic chance, you had to stop. So... You know, that advice has been around for a long time. If people continue to smoke, then why should the NHS continue to underwrite them when they're actually damaging their chances? I can see the logic.
Well, I think it's still quite harsh. I think people should be judged as individuals. Another medical story. Doctors' orders have fewer children and save the planet.
Now we're talking.
The British Medical Journal has published an article by a couple of British doctors who think that GPs should say to their patients, before they get pregnant, now, have you considered the effect on climate change? Imagine, I go in to have say, doctor, I think I'm pregnant. And he said, well, before I do the test, could we just discuss climate change? It is none of GP's business how many children I choose to have. Unless I need medical help to have them, then, of course, it becomes a medical professional's business. But to ask doctors...
Well, whose business is it, then?
The person who wants to get pregnant.
What about the rest of the people on the planet have to get increasingly cluttered up because of your irresponsibility when it comes to contraception?
Do you want people to be earning money to pay you a pension when you're older? Then you want some of us to have kids, because otherwise you're going to have to be really, really poor.
I just want to die on my own, that's all I want. All miserable, eaten up with my own cynicism.
At what point does the doctor pop up and say...
Well, exactly. When you discuss... They discuss contraception. Anyway, moving on to bras. The perils of the wrong bra, says today's Daily Express. This is quite an interesting story. The Royal Free Hospital in London, lots of women who go for breast reduction surgery because they complain of problems like backache. They've got a special clinic there where they did a piece of research where they got 250 women who wanted back surgery, and they worked out where they were in the right bra. Every single woman was wearing a bra that didn't fit properly, and according to the medical experts, women would need less surgery if they wore a better bra. Now, there's a department at Portsmouth, a sports science, called breast biochemics. So if you fancy, any students fancy learning, that's where to study, breast biochemics.
That's the BBC.
There's a gag in there somewhere as well involving a four-letter word, right, a familiar bird's name. But anyway, we'll leave that. Yeah.
What they're saying is that if women apparently, if you've got large breasts as a woman, you need to wear a sports bra with a clasp that does up at the back, not a pull-on one, and that will give you proper support. But women don't wear the right size bra, they say, because they don't want to wear ugly bras. Well, that's entirely true. So if they were nicer, you know, if you're a larger-breasted lady, you need bra straps that are about that wide, not that sexy, to be honest. So women wear bras that don't fit because they want to look pretty, and then they get problems with their back.
Who designed the first bra? Was that, presumably, it was sort of an engineer?
Well, they talk about Howard Hughes. They talk about Howard Hughes doing it, don't they? For whatever it was, the actress he was shooting a movie for.
Ava Gardner, wasn't it?
No.
Before that.
I can't remember her name now. Yes, because she needs
And then
a
he
bit of
spent the
uplift.
rest of his life as a recluse.
Yes.
Because of it.
Peeing in milk bottles.
Yeah.
Now you're doing the first one of. I'm not doing the first one.
I don't.
You just do the one you got.
I don't mind. This is
Go on, Hugh.
apparently yesterday the media regulator.
Yeah.
Is that Ofcom?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've decided that the rules preventing extremely long television commercials have been dumped.
Oh,
so apparently,
no.
So now apparently you can have a 12-minute television commercial, but nobody's going to make a 12-minute commercial, are they?
ITV make them every day for their own programmes. They called This Morning.
Yeah.
But remember those Woolies ones they had when we were kids? They were about 12 minutes long.
They
weren't
felt
they were
like they were
quality.
12 minutes long. Yeah. But they're not...
12-minute ads. No businessman or woman in their right mind is going to want to crucify the nation with a 12-minute advert.
You just... well, they're not going to happen, are they? So it's a sort of silly...
OK, so that's the 12-minute ad that's silly. Larry, which one have you?
Painter fined £30 for smoking in his own van. This is a council painter. His name is Gordon Williams, and he owns this van. He was driving to go and pick up some supplies, and he was smoking in his van, and he was told to pull over, and he has been fined £30 because his van is regarded as his workplace, even though he owns his van. Which seems ridiculous. I can understand whether if he was standing in a shed, a council-owned shed, but it's his own van.
Reminds me, by the way, I nearly got run over yesterday by a woman in a 4x4 yakking on a mobile phone as I crossed a zebra crossing. So that was just thought that was.
I've run him over.
Next time.
Matthew, right? Thank God for that.
That wasn't quite the reaction I was after.
Really? No. And why your holiday? This is good for you because you go on holiday
yeah.
this weekend. Why your holiday won't start until the third day?
Scientists... That's not far from the truth at the moment.
It's true,
I don't think
isn't
I can
it?
actually go away. I'm too busy. Yeah.
Well, apparently, most people take 18 hours to choose a holiday. Sorry, 18 days to choose a holiday. We go away for an average of only 9 days, but it takes us 3 days to get over the stress of the packing and the travelling and all that kind of... I think it's absolutely true. And then by the time you've calmed down, it's time to come home, isn't it? You've got
That means there's absolutely no point in going away for the weekend, isn't it?
Yes.
It's actually you come back more stressed than when
before you left. Yeah.
That's very bad news for the British tourists.
Any more? That's the
it.
lot. Nice one. OK. It's quiet without Biggins, don't it? Anyone notice? Yeah, it's really quiet. He'll be here soon, anyway. After the ads, or was it a Glasgow kiss voters gave Gordon Brown last night, or a mortal body blow? The Scottish Nationalists won Glasgow East, Labour's third safest seat in Scotland. That was after overturning a 13,500 majority. So, is this another one of those by-election results that doesn't matter, as the government always claims, or a sign that the PM and possibly New Labour is done for? 0207 173 5555. That's the number for your thoughts, and we'll hear some of those thoughts after the ads. Back in a moment.
How many by-elections has Labour won since Gordon Brown became Prime Minister? Is it none, 1 or 2? Find out the answer after the break.